Let's see. Assalamu alaikum. Kaifa hal? Labais? Bon nuit? Sabah? I hope everyone is doing well. Just want to start 15 minutes early because I'm usually tired once I'm after, because it takes me a while to get everything edited after. Welcome my new subscribers. Thanks to all those who have been watching my video. See that the channel is improving, and I wholeheartedly thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch my videos. Usually, the broadcast usually is on relationships and basically intimate relationships. And I wanted to start talking about other relationships as far as dealing with people in everyday life. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, how we interact with one another of different racial backgrounds and ethnic groups. Because I think we subconsciously think about these things when we see or pass each other in everyday life. And what brought me to this particular topic is, with me having the privilege to travel to different countries, I've noticed that in the U.S., I imagine most people have experienced some form of prejudice or racism in the country. And, even now with the presidential, these new laws and stuff in place, you see people basically protesting all the time now, and there's so much discord. But inshallah, hopefully, things change, or I'm the type of person that doesn't wait for things to change. I try to continue every day to focus and put in the effort in the focus to go after the things that I want in life, as far as the changes. So what I'm getting at is, I know looking at the analytics on this particular channel, my channel is, I would say, about 75 to 74% men view this channel, watch this channel, and it's about 26% of women that watch my channel. But what I noticed, even looking at, depending on the videos that people tend to watch, I see that, I guess it's more focused on intimate relationships, or if men seem to be worried about how women are treating them. But I want us, I would like for us men to not focus so much on the relationships with women. I mean, you focus on your relationships, but what I'm saying is, I think that you need to start thinking long term and think about where you want to live in the future, how you keep your family safe if you have a family. Because one thing that I notice about women, they'll still be around as long as you are trying to work towards. Well, success is different from everybody, but let's just say for me, I've been able to go to multiple countries, and mashallah, I'm grateful for that. But what I've noticed is that when it comes to women, it's like when you are a man that's going after your success in life or your purpose, you're not going to lose women chasing your resources. So this is what I want to talk about. So so in the U.S., one thing that I noticed, it's almost like looking at the different racial groups, you tend to see that they're either, it's a group of people that wants to keep a particular group, or the sexes divided. And of course, most of us in the U.S., we can feel a little bit of tension, especially between white Americans and Black Americans. Not so much, but very little. Asian and Black, you don't really see too much of it. And then, of course, you have Hispanics, Latinos, Black, and versus Blacks, or so more often than not, it's probably trying to, a little bit of division there, or either I would think that when it comes to the Black person, and well, I guess for each group, there's some type of stereotype. And then we have, and I'm surprised at this one, it's Black Americans versus Africans, because me and what I've experienced, and the thing that I want to say as I go more in detail about this is that this video isn't to talk bad or spread any type of negative agenda about racism, prejudice, and all that stuff about a particular group. I just want to, give my experience and my thoughts about the things that I've experienced in my life with the different ethnic groups or racial, people of different racial backgrounds. And is my intent to bring this in a positive light. So when I mention these things, it's not to, don't just write me off and throw me off and, think, oh, he just said, no, that's not what I'm doing. I want you to be impartial when you're, it's like listening to understand, not to listen to react to what I say. And then, whatever. But anyways, so like what I was saying is that one thing that I noticed, even, and I mostly would hear this from Black people, not so much any other ethnic group, but they would say, oh, those Africans, people from Africa, don't even like you. Now, we're descendants, well, most of us possibly are descendants of group of people from Africa, like my ancestors. So for me, I am mixed with Nigerian, it's a great percentage, Nigerian, Mali, Cameroon, Ivory Coast. I am 1% Italian. I don't forget that, because it's like when I tell people that, it's like I like to dress nice suits. I like the sparkling water. Pellegrino sparkling water. What else? I like Italy. Italy is so nice. And even in Italy, I like the culture, because I would just fit right in, because one thing that I noticed is, like, even with the men, it's like making sure that they dress nice, smell nice, Italian food. What else is there about it? I like the language. I'm learning Italian, so like buonasera. Ciao, buonasera for those that speak Italian. And I've been learning it for like over a year now, but learning multiple languages. So So just like I said, it's like most of the time I hear Black Americans trying to put their experience. Well, most people, it's like whenever they have something negative to say or something, it's like they're putting their negative experience onto others. And even for me, I try to catch myself when I'm doing things that doesn't seem right, that I know that Allah doesn't approve of. Things seem to, I catch myself when I'm, maybe about to. That is something I don't think backbiting and stuff like that is not in my um, system, because one thing that I try to do, if I love you, I love you, and if I don't like you, I don't want to be around you. The other thing is that if we have a little bit of disagreement, I am that person that will. You don't have to worry about me talking behind your back, because I tell you to your face what I don't like about you, or whatever conflict we have, we can speak about it, as men or men to women. I'm open to have open communication and trying to have a good dialogue so we could eventually come together to resolve our issues. But as I said, this is what I would mostly hear from Black Americans about Africans. And not just that, even in the US, you could, talk about the genocide that's been happening in Gaza, right? To where you displace millions of people from their homes. And we know what this is. It's like you're trying to make this, some of these countries, it's like they want to make that a beachfront property because of the location. And nobody's stupid, right? But then another thing that I noticed, it's like for every group in society, for every, not group, generation, there's some type of trauma or something that in our brain that we've been programmed to think about throughout our life. And when it comes to Muslims, I could remember since, let's say, I remember when I was in high school, I can't remember if I was in ninth grade or whatever, but I remember 9/11, right? And even till this day, it's like they will try to program it. Oh, 9/11, it's like this is what they call, you have different types of memories in your brain that you can remember. Like, just imagine you, uh, you could drive, let's say if you're driving to work and you are, let's say if you're driving to work and you're driving to work, but you're on the cell phone, you're changing your music. Not only are you changing your music on your phone, on your Bluetooth, you're changing your music. You got your donut or your croissant, and you trying to get to work, and it's like you could get to work and you're not even focused on the road. You could, be looking down at everything else, but there's a memory in your brain that you've taken that same route. I forgot what type of memory that is, but you've taken that same route all the time. And then, so that's one. And then flashback memory is when you can just go back and you just can remember something that it's almost like it just happened, like yesterday, And I believe that's what they call a flashback memory. So it's like, even with these, these news channel and these social media outlets, it's like they're just programming your brain. And this is why I say you have to be mindful of what we put in our brain, and what we see on social media and stuff like that, and knowing that it's a drug and we need to be able to know when to turn that off, right? And one way that you could probably do this is like what I do. I try to limit my social media up to about 2 hours. And that tends to work because on your iPhone, you could basically put on a timer the way you won't be trying to be active on those different sites or whatever. So that's what I try to do to not be on social media, but even with me working towards success, I try to keep myself preoccupied and busy and just working on so much things because I want to be successful. And most people look at me and say, oh, you're already successful. No, I understand that because, like, one thing, like I tell most people, success is different for everybody, but if you want a lifestyle to where you can travel to multiple countries, stay at nice hotels or villas and stuff like that, it costs money. It's not cheap. It adds up. And one thing that I noticed is a lot of people that, and we could talk about women, just, we could talk about them because we know that they like attention. They got to show pictures of themselves, advertise, whatever. But I would say my one, if I catch it, either I'm taking her phone and looking, say, hey, give me your phone, and looking through it. We're like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And if she's not going to take it off, then we just got to figure out what we go do. She'll have to deactivate that. And I know some women, they're like, oh, what's that? No. You're not my type. So don't worry about it. Now, what I wanted to say is that it costs a lot of money. So, just couple was that, I think it was not a couple weeks, last week alone, me having to shell out $6,000 in bills. You don't understand what it takes to you wanting to be successful, and you got, $8,000 worth of bills to pay per month. Not everybody has that, and most people that have that, we go through hardship because we're like, okay, what if your business is slow, like mine was for the holidays, right? And you're, trying to figure out how are you going to make this able, but mashallah, thank God that I was, thank Allah that I was able to have it to where my business started improving, getting over this, holiday slump. And I imagine I'm not the only one. You have a lot of people that make a lot of money and they lost their jobs, federal jobs and so, but, some people just don't understand what it takes to make money. And we ain't talking about a little bit of money. We're talking about, well, I would say this. They say this was years ago, and I think it was the Senator Elizabeth Warren said this many years ago. She talked about how, like, when an individual makes $50,000 a year, that's all you need to sustain, your life. Like, you got your car, your apartment, or your house, and get your food and all your essentials. But if people started, if you go out and buy you a dang on, let's see. If you go out and you buy you a Mercedes 63, Mercedes-Benz 63, or you go out and you buy a Lamborghini Aventador, and you make $250,000 a year, you just basically probably wiped out any money for you to try to invest with or save for the months ahead, right? So when you increase your income, you tend to want more because of maybe society, or maybe those were some of your childhood dreams to want some of those materialistic things. But I mean, you want what you want. I don't, I don't get into little things of worrying about someone saying, "Oh, I want this, I want that, I would like to have this," materialistic thing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Just, if they work for it, they can have it. I'm not worried about things that people would like to have or things that people would want. So, just like I said, and even when I travel out the U.S., I know, and before I go there, one thing that I'd like to say, like, I'm coming up with this topic, and one of the things that a young lady brought to my attention is that when I told her that I was talking about this topic, she was like, well, some people might get offended and so and so. And she was like, but I've heard stories that people like the women, but that's the thing. It's like you have people in power or just a group of people that want to spread division and hate and so forth towards a particular group of people. So it's like, well, wait a minute. You want to keep us oppressed. You want, well, not us, because I don't feel oppressed, but I see that there's a group of people, particularly we're not going to, what's that dang old word? We're not going to sugarcoat anything. We know that there's a group of people, particularly white people in America, that try to keep black people oppressed. Not just that, we have it to where there's a particular group that try to keep Hispanics oppressed. Now, I would say this, any one of my associates or colleagues think that I am saying this out of some hate or racial whatever, that's not the point. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I am basically wanting you to understand, well, for one thing, it's like you could never experience what it's like being black because you're not black, right? But I want you to just take a sit back and listen to other people's experience. Just listen, that's what I want to say there. Now, the young lady, she was saying, oh, but people like the women in Africa. And I said, of course, if we have predominantly that most men run society in these countries, they may not like the group of people or the men specifically or so forth, but of course they like the women because they're thinking sexual, physical, right? This is what men think about. This is what we think about all the time. And it's like for me, yes, I'm Muslim. Yes, I'm this. I'm not perfect. And I'm a man. So, yes, I'm going to think about women or think something sexual. 20-something men on average think about this 20-something times per day, just like women. You're going to think about men probably 5-10 times a day, right? Like I had a young lady, I remember maybe about 4 or 5 broadcasts ago, 4 or 5 videos ago that I did, the young lady, we were talking and she said, and this is like a little young girl, she's probably looked like she's about 19 years old. And we had a discussion about feminine, masculine energy and the natural instincts, right? To where men and women, the different sexes mating and monogamy and things like that. And well, 19-year-old girl, just listening. It was about 3 or 4. I think it was 3 or 4. It was about 3 or 4 white girls. We were talking about this stuff, and two white guys, and we were just having a nice discussion about this, because they were interested. And one thing that the young girl said, she said right in front of, she's like, I think it's kind of a natural instinct that we women want to mate with a man. And I was like, look at that. The damn young woman, they seem to get it, but it's like some of the older women, like just my experience, I don't want nobody taking shots at me, just my experience, it's like some of the older women, they try to be a little bit naive and not being, it's like there's no sense of awareness. But anyway, I can go on through just like I told the young ladies that, of course, that these men would like these women from Africa because, of course, it's beautiful. You know, there's a bunch of beautiful women, and even for me, like I tell people these days, it's like the attitude of some of the women in the U.S. Like one woman earlier today, she had some question up to where she asked, asking black men, say, "Hey, why is it that you would choose a white woman, Becky, over a black woman?" And I responded that it's not your skin color, it's your attitude. And she just basically proves my points a couple of comments later, or in the next comment, to where she went to being defensive, or basically she was trying to be passive aggressive with me. But anyway, so I told her this, and I've told most people because of the attitude or the mindset of some of the women in the U.S., even though I know that there's a lot of nice, feminine, good women in the U.S., like I've met a good bit of nice women. That's why sometimes I say we are who we attract. But even some of the women that I would be attracted to and the mindset, most of those women were married. So it's not like, me trying, I don't do that. Play them games. So eventually, like I tell most people, if it was me, if I had to want to be not just with a black woman, any woman, I would base it off her attitude and the way she thinks. But even when I talk to women from other countries, they'll say, "Oh, well, a woman from the U.S. ain't going for the things that you want and things that I was like, no, it's just a little bit more masculine than some of the women that I've met in, parts of Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Africa, or South America." And it's so, I think some people are so, I can't say, well, I'm not going to say that. Let's say lack of knowledge. Because when you say ignorant, that it kind of carries a negative connotation, but just say lack of knowledge, right? To where people in the U.S., and I'm talking about this woman when she asked this question, there are Afro-Latinas. You have plenty of Afro-Latinas in South America. When they think about black people, they're only thinking about in America, not thinking about, oh, there's black people in Africa, right? Now, some people, they would be shocked to see that there's black people everywhere. You go to Asia, find black people. You could, or brown, melanated skin. Sometimes when we say, now women are double minorities because for one, they're being a female and someone non-white, right? So they're considered as like a double minority. But when we talk about Africa, right? And people in Africa, you'll see people in Africa throughout Europe, they're in Italy, they're in Paris, France. You see them in the UK, you see them in Asia, you see them everywhere, right? So some people just, I don't get that thinking. Now, just like I said, I could go on and we could talk about, I've met some great African-American, well, not African-American, I would say Africans in Dubai. Like I remember going to this airport and there was this beautiful lady checking my luggage in, and I was like a deer in the headlights. I was just like, and she started talking. I was like, "Where you from?" But anyways, my thing was, it wasn't just that she was beautiful. I knew I needed to flirt because I was like, I don't want her to charge me for all this extra luggage, and because paying $100 and something extra just for just because your luggage is overweight or you have too many luggage bags. So here I am. Oh, where you from? Where you from? So next thing you know, I'm asking her, and here's a little nosy guy. Yeah, of course he was African probably from Africa. He comes over. What did he ask you? What did he say? What did he ask you? But he was smiling. We laughed about it. But she was a beautiful woman from Ethiopia. And matter of fact, I remember another time that I was in Dubai. There was this very beautiful girl, and me and her, we're cool. And her name's Zion. And it was so funny because I was going through TSA, right? And you know how you have to get in those, the line wasn't long in Dubai. It's never really long for me. I don't know why. I guess the time that I'm leaving and coming, it's like no lines. And we go into TSA and we go in through the little zigzags and, trying to get through, to go to border control. Yeah, border control. And the young lady, every time I turned, she looking at me. Every time I turn this way, she turned this way and look at me. Go this way, she turned this way and look at me. I said, damn. I said, you know what? I said, this is your cue. That woman is like very attracted to you. Because it's just that she locked eyes with me, and it's like she never took her eyes off me. Like every time she turned, she thinks, damn. I said, if I don't get this good looking woman number, I said, I'm gonna be mad at myself. so eventually, now we got both of our luggage, putting it on the belt, and about to go through security. So so I said, look here, you see something you like? I said, if you see something you like, you need to say something. So she's like, how are you? I said, I'm good. I said, we introduced each other, introduce ourselves. And I said, you want to exchange numbers? And she said, sure. So we exchanged numbers, and I was surprised. I was like, man, when we exchanged numbers, that woman, she came like right here in my face. I was like, damn, she close. I was like, I never met a woman, I think, and well, I take that back. But this was like, I don't usually, it's just rare to get that to where when you meet a woman and she's like right there in your damn face. I said, damn. I was like, I don't know if that's a culture thing or I don't know, but I was like, whatever. But she's from Ethiopia too. And the woman I said, damn. And she was like, where's your gate? I said, oh, my gate is so and so terminal, blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, okay. She said, I'm over here. I'm like, damn. I was like, we could have, spent time because I think we still had like an hour to change or whatever before our flights left. But she's a sweet young lady. So shout out to Zion. I like that name. But anyways, so that was that. But I like traveling to different countries because it's like just like I said, in the U.S. there's so much division at times, and it can be so draining, right? And when I go to these other countries, I'm treated like an exotic animal, like a damn jaguar or tiger, right? And so many people are so welcoming and friendly and want to know where I am, where I'm at, where I'm from, and want to get to know me and things like that. And I've met great men out in Dubai from Africa, so nice, so friendly. I've met this one gentleman. Um, this was so funny. Uh, One day I was going to the 10 round boxing gym. I was going to 10 round boxing gym. 10, let me see. No, not 10 round. Round 10 boxing gym out in Dubai. And this taxi driver, he came and picked me up. And now before I go into this, what I'm getting at here is that where people in the US try to uh, put their negative experience about how different racial groups don't like one another, I'm basically saying is that I haven't experienced some of the things that some of these people have said. So, with that, that's almost like, just imagine someone is trying to tell you something about another racial ethnic group or something that they've experienced. Oh, I went to Dubai and I didn't like it, and this is this and this is this. Shit, I have a great time when I go, right? I have a great time wherever I go because I don't know, I just feel like I'm friendly, kind, loving towards others, and people just gravitate towards me. So it's like the good energy that I put out, I receive a lot of love from that. So I don't have those problems. I bring people and attract people towards me, good people. And so, like, just for example, we're talking about people with the experiences, right? Give me an example. Let's say you and I both bought a Ferrari 458 Spider, right? I got the red one, you got black, right? But it came off the same production line, made in the same factory. And let's say they went to lunch break on your goddamn car. They went to lunch, let's say they went to lunch break on your damn car. So you missed in a bunch of screws. My car, I go in and take it in for maintenance once a year. You take it in for maintenance every 3 months. And they always find a screw or something missing on your vehicle. So I could say, I'm going to go out and buy me another Ferrari, and you'll say, I'll never buy this car again, but that was your experience. That's not mine, right? Now, it's like I said, like, tell you for me being in Africa. So I'm not Africa, I was in Dubai. And when I say Africa, y'all have to understand that Africa is made up of 54 countries. Africa is a continent. Now, some people don't know that. So, it's just like, oh, Africa. No, it's a continent with multiple countries, right? But of course, I wonder what some people was thinking when they were in the history class. But anyway, so let me tell you a story. When I was in Dubai, this thing was so funny. I was going to the round 10 boxing gym because every time I'm there, I always make sure I go to that particular round 10 boxing gym. And it's crazy because when you go to Dubai, there's like five gyms, maybe more, 5 gyms, and all of them like right by each other. I just didn't get that. I was like, that makes sense, but I guess. But anyway, so I go to the round 10, round 10, round 1 or 2. But anyway, that's the name. I think it's round 10 boxing gym. So the cab driver came pick me up. He's, from Africa. So I was like, hey, how's your day going? He's like, he said, it's going so good. He's like, I just got my taxi back. And I said, man, I know you're happy. He says, what? So then it's like me and him just kept laughing and joking, you know, in the car and had so much a great time. I was like, dang, I wish I got that guy's number. So yeah, he was so happy because he just got his taxi back and he wasn't making any money. So, you know, I was just trying to make it light of the situation, and you know, we were talking, you know, having a good time on the way going to the boxing gym. So then I made sure that I gave him a nice tip. I don't know how much I gave him, but I gave him a nice tip. He was so happy. We just laughed up some more stuff. So that was so funny. Um, you know, but one thing, um, people in the U.S., particularly Black people, said, "Oh, those Africans, they don't even like you," blah, blah, blah. And I've never experienced that. Just like when I would go to Turkey, there's the guy, Yusef. Shout out to Yusef. Yusef, he's from Somalia. He would keep me safe, pick me up from the airport. He would spend, even though he has a wife and kids, he would spend at least 5-6 hours or so just with me. Because even when you leave Turkey, it's like if you at the airport, it might take like an hour just to get to the city center or whatever, right? Or a little over an hour or something, right? And he would pick me up from the airport, take me to the airport, help me get my luggage checked in the right way and everything. And even though I've been in Istanbul so many times, it's like, I get it. But, you know, just that he would just want to be in there the whole thing. Even this, you know, I have a guy that, you know, that I know from Senegal that lives in Paris, France, Aldo. Shout out to Aldo. He'll pick me up from the airport, or if I need to go somewhere, keep me safe or save money. So these guys have kept me safe, spent time with me. Even I have another buddy inside another Muslim country in Africa that I like, Morocco. His name is Masjid. So Masjid is like he will spend the whole entire, like almost the whole entire day with me, just doing things and showing me around, you know, in Casablanca. So I wholeheartedly thank and appreciate them for that, and I thank God for placing great people in my life that keep me safe and want to, you know, see me well. So I don't experience too much hate, jealousy, and envy from these guys, even though that's one of those things that's probably a subconscious thing what people think. So it's not that, but the actions, that the way people treat me, I don't think that I get that the sense that too much, right? When, especially when I'm outside the U.S., it's so much peaceful and loving, or it just appears that way, right? Let's see. So what I realized in the last few months, I've been taking notice of some of the things that have been going on in Africa. You know, a good bit of their countries in Africa seem to where they're thriving, cleaning up the roads, beautiful landscape, the music, beautiful, kind, loving people. Just makes me want to eventually live or find a place in Africa. You know, I'm not sure which country it would be, but I just noticed that there's a channel I watched was talking about how Egypt has like some good type of residency or citizenship program or something. I've never been to Egypt, but I like Muslim countries. So for me, like me traveling to Turkey often, or going to Dubai, or like a couple of them that would be on my bucket list outside of Africa would be maybe I would like to visit Oman, would be a good one. So I would like to visit Egypt in Africa, and then I would like to have the opportunity to visit Oman in the Middle East, Asia region. So inshallah. Yeah, so I've been taking notice of what's been going on in Africa, and Africa has the ability to become an economic superpower, right? Because for years, as we know, it's like slavery ended over 400 years ago, but there's still a group of people that want to keep people oppressed and keep them poor. And I understand that some people, when you say rich, poor, and all that stuff, there's some people that they don't want to be in the situations that they're in, but you have some people that they've built up some finances that they just want to have a nice house, have a nice car, or a reliable car, a job, have a little money in the bank, eat good, and they're comfortable. But when you look at Africa, when you look at the continent as a whole compared to Asia, like China and India and parts of Russia or Asia, so Asia and the Middle East region, and you look at Europe and you look at South America and U.S. Of course, it's like they tried to make Africa to be nothing about be impoverished, you know. So, but one thing that Africa has is a lot of natural resources. I've been, paying attention. It's okay, and this is what I'm talking about. It's like it's okay for us men to talk about women and this all the time, but think about what you are here on Earth to do if you're going to be productive, right, and give back to society in some way. And I watch a little bit of the news. I try not to watch news, but I watch a little bit from all the news channels from different countries. Not depends on the news channel, but from all over to get my viewpoint, right? Of doing research, just not just listening to this one thing, just bringing it all together. And what I notice, I'm seeing that we have a lot of countries like Russia investing in Africa, China investing heavily in Africa, and I would say China investment has helped out Africa a lot, as far as building infrastructure like ports, the roads. I'm not sure when it comes to schools and hospitals, but I know that China has gave billions, probably over at least over 100 billion, to help and humanitarian aid to Africa, right? But I'm also seeing that, with these so much wars going on, is that you have people in these countries. It's like you got to kind of think about the motive. Are they doing it for to have a location for war, or if they're being kind and generous, with their resources? So one thing that I took to note is like, the people in Rwanda, they've suffered a genocide years ago. I think that was in the 90s. And over 500,000 people were martyred And you have the Democratic Republic of Congo and groups fighting against Rwandans. And you have, who else is there? You have Sudan going through a hardship, and their people are suffering. So one thing that I was thinking to where if they can find a way to stop killing each other and unite and come together and be mindful of the enemy that tries to infiltrate these different countries for their personal gain, maybe Africa could be an economic superpower. Because we have, what is it? In the years to come, you see a lot of these countries to talk about the birth rates, right? A lot of people, they say, oh, this particular country, a lot of people are dying out from this place, right? And you have China, I think it's China, with like 1 billion people. You have people in India. I think it's India. I don't know if it's India or Bangladesh, but I'm pretty sure it's probably India, with like 1 billion people. And in the years to come, they're expected to have probably close to 2040 or something. Probably you'll have 1 billion of people in Africa, because reports would say that Africa will be the place that most people will want to live, right? And even being in Africa, the weather is pleasant. Well, I take that back. I need to travel all throughout Africa to say that, so I take that back. I just say give a couple places I've been to. I need to travel and go to almost all of them before I can make that decision. Say, yeah, weather's nice, all about it. But so this is what I've been noticing about Africa. And not in say Africa. And it's like I said, when I'm talking about Africa, I'm talking about what I've seen in the news and the progress that some of these countries are making, and some of these people that are making philanthropic, donations or so through specific countries. Like I saw that Michael Blackson, the comedian, built a school there in Ghana 2 years ago. One of my favorite music artists, growing up when I was in high school, Ja Rule, he put a school in Ghana. Now, some people say, I don't know what type of, I don't know what contractor that he had built the school, but it's like it could have been better than what it is. But that's another story. I don't want to go into the deep end on that, go down a rabbit hole. So one thing that I noticed is that people making Africa, they want to see progress in Africa, right? Just like I've noticed that Algeria and Nigeria are the largest oil and natural gas producers from natural gas reserves. And this had me thinking, because I remember I was coming back from Dubai one time. I've been at least 5 times or something like that. I remember this guy. We were on the plane, and he was telling me how he lives in Africa and he has multiple properties. So he's a real estate investor as well. And he was wanting me to network with him to invest together, right? So I was like, wow, this is nice. I have his phone number in WhatsApp, but I haven't reached out to him. But I also have another partner that I'm looking to invest with, and he's Nigerian, and he's a surgeon, Dr. Odabo. So shout out to him from Nigeria. And he also not invest in real estate, but also in oil and gas. And South Africa is rich. South Africa, Ghana, Mali, Tanzania, Algeria are all rich in gold. Botswana, they have one of the largest diamond production. The Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia, they have the they're rich in natural resources in copper and cobalt. And this is good for technology because you need copper and cobalt for your phones, your cell phones, your technology, cell phones, laptops. But this is another thing that I believe I've seen, take notice that there are some Africans that at least that I've seen online that are very good with technology. And if we have more countries that are willing to invest in Africa's education and like STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, if they could invest more in those areas, it would help boost their economy. And me even thinking about compare this with the Gulf Arab countries is so rich in oil and natural gas. Well, I think you have someplace in Africa, they're ranked, some countries in Africa are probably ranked in like maybe could be the top 10 for reserves, but I would imagine they could be just as wealthy. And I think that these countries not only just thinking about the natural resources like copper, cobalt, gold, diamond, and things like that, because those are things that can could boost the economy, right? The overall economy in a country. But I'm talking about collectively as a whole, that these countries in Africa could all be on the same accord to boost their economy. And one thing that I liked that I read was that the Saudi Crown Prince bin Salman, Mohammed bin Salman, respectively, he said he offered President Ibrahim of Burkina Faso to build 200 mosques. And I looked at that and I thought, oh, wow, that's nice. I said, because I remember going to Jama sometime a couple months ago, and one of the hadith by the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was that whoever builds a mosque, Allah will build a home in paradise for them. So I was like, wow, that's a good gesture by the Saudi Crown Prince. But the president of Burkina Faso declined, and I'm thinking, but he said it with good reason to where he wanted the Crown Prince to try to help invest in infrastructure, to invest and build homes, schools, hospitals, because when you build those, it will help out, help people with jobs and, have economic, resources to help build that particular country up, from what it is. So I think that President Ibrahim Traore, respectively, Ibrahim Traore. Hope I'm saying that right. But anyways, I think he's doing a good thing out there in his country. And, we're going to pray that Allah continues to watch after him, because when you know that someone's doing good in a place like that, it's like you have a lot of people that want to keep places like that poor and don't want to see great leaders. I can't remember, but this made me think of, I can't remember the guy's name, but I don't know if it was in the Middle East region or it was in Africa, but I need to look this up and research. I'm always busy focused on something for business, but I try to educate myself about the economy and things that are happening around the world. And what I was thinking is that maybe this is something where a gentleman by the name of Gaddafi, I don't remember his name, but it was how he was doing something great for his people. And of course, they had him martyred. Supposedly, right? Because I briefly read that, but I think that's what it is. So what I'm saying, right? So what I was mentioning is that the Saudi Crown Prince and others are taking notice. There's even Russia helping protect Burkina Faso's President Ibrahim Traore, giving military aid to help, because some Western civilizations may not like African countries thriving towards success. I like how there's been a few countries in Africa, and I imagine a good bit of countries need to start doing this, is removing these military bases from other countries. Like, give an example, France. You have French military, and that's been going on for years, but now I see that you have military groups from France, troops from France being able to settle in parts of Africa, like in Algeria and a few others. Like, what are they doing? Because I know somebody out in Algeria. That's another place that I want to go, Algeria. But I realized that I need to speak to the embassy or something to get a visa, or speak to the embassy or something. You just can't just go to Algeria. I think they're saying that it's like a closed off thing, but as long as you fill out an application, speak to it, then you can get into Algeria. I was like, that's one place that I want to go and visit, Algeria. But just like I was saying, is that you have, and this was a thing to where, I think it was that Charles de Gaulle, and this is why you have, there was a thing between French and Algeria, like a war. So, and even for a long period of time, you have a lot of the military from France out in these African countries. It's like they're there
setting up military bases, and it's almost like they could basically just point a warhead or something and destroy a particular region like that. And I was thinking that these places in Africa need to remove all of these particular countries that are trying to uh, settle in their countries. And I'm glad that a few have, starting to remove them. But I also think and appreciate the fact that President Macron from France is agreeing to remove the troops out of Africa. So, I have respect for him for doing that. To change, need to make a change. And, so this is one thing, because these African countries, they cannot take their military and bring them and put a military base here in the U.S. I think I live in the U.S. and people say, "Oh, why are you talking about the U.S.?" Because I can do what the hell I want. These African countries cannot put their military bases anywhere instead of shop in the U.S. And the same thing goes for African country trying to put their military base in China or Russia or wherever. That's not going to happen, right? Not to, now, I haven't read anything that says that it is. But this is good that, they're removing this. Now, another thing that I would like to see, that I like the way how it seems that Africa is progressing in Nigeria, Nairobi, Algeria, and Bosnia, and then Botswana, is that they are trying to progress to some type of financial independence. And I think the other thing that is important is me agreeing with President Ibrahim, is to where if they could build more homes, schools, hospitals, this will help that their financial system will be confident in investing and saving money, right? As far as capital investments or capital markets, help their stock market. But the other good thing, or that's the good thing, the other thing that could help is towards Africa's, or these, 54 group of countries, financial stability, is to allow ports. I know that China has been helping with port schools and things like that, but if they could get more ports or route to bring shipment and more trade between other countries, this would help them economically. Because I remember a couple of years ago, I was going to school. I was in pre-med, so I was going to school to be a physician assistant years ago, 2019. And one of the college professors, he mentioned that when even where I live in the U.S., in South Carolina has the ability, is a right to work state. So you have a lot of big, huge companies like Mercedes, Volvo, Boeing, Bosch. You have these big, huge companies that are here because they're able to pay low wages, save on taxes, but we have a port authority here as well, to where you have people making money. But when you have a port authority, you're able to bring in so much resources for the economy that you could pay the people well. right? And this is what Africa needs to be thinking about as well, which I'm pretty sure they are. But I've just read that about China helping, with infrastructure, with bridges, roads, and things like that. But here, even in South Carolina, it's like they have the ability to pay people decent wages, right? Livable wages, but they don't. You see all these other countries, not other countries, like you in the US, you see all these other different states, they're able to pay people $25 per hour and up. But South Carolina, they're still trying to keep people poor because they have their minimum wages set at what, $7 or $8 an hour. So even for somebody like me, trying to be successful and work towards financial independence. Make sure my mic's still working because I don't been talking too much. I didn't expect to talk this one. I thought I was going to have a short video, but maybe not. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Even talking about the Saudi Crown Prince, during the start of Ramadan, just like I said, people are noticing that Africa, certain parts of Africa, are doing well. The kingdom, they sent 100 tons of dates through the start of Ramadan to Nigeria. Now, this was, a good humanitarian thing to do. But of course, it's like, people of Nigeria wish that they've gotten some type of financial resources, as well to help out with, their infrastructure, to put the country further ahead, right? So that's thing. So capital markets are capital markets in a country are vital to have, and just stocks, bond, currencies are essential to financing infrastructure, roads, power plants, schools, hospitals, and homes, and to help manage unforeseeable risks. So this is what Africa is probably thinking, and need to put more effort into making sure that when these different countries like China and Russia, making sure some of the funds that are being donated goes into the financial sector. As I say, like doing these, having building roads, power plants, school, bridges, hospital, homes, these create jobs for people, right? So that that's what I wanted to talk about there. It says so. Good access to finance improves a country's overall welfare. Like I also like I went to Africa, some country, what's that? I can't remember. Like I was in Africa sometime, and I say Africa sometimes because I don't want to mention it everywhere I did. So I was out and I took note. Me and this guy, I forgot where he's from. I think he's Nigerian too. But me and him clicked well. So we're sitting down talking, and we're at this little event, and and we're sitting down talking, and we was talking about how like African music in the last couple of years, like the Afrobeats. So I like how, well, there are some Muslims that are very strict, so they'll say music is haram. I would say, listen to music, it could relieve stress. You can relieve stress, listen to music, meditation, and things like that. One thing that I noticed was that some of the African music, it is therapeutic and spiritual. And I found myself listening to more African music than some of the music that most of us tend to listen to in the US. Either something is about some heartbreak or glorifying rap culture or dividing dividing the sexes, male and female. And I don't see that or hear that much in the African music that I listen to. It's more about loving one another, men and women. And just like I said, you have to be mindful what you put in your mind. You are what you attract, and if you're trying to attract better, then you need to gravitate towards that. I like some of the artists, music artists from Africa coming out of, there's a pretty girl that's a DJ. I think she's part Ghanaian and she's part, I don't know why. I think she's part from Ghana, and then she's in the UK, Brooke Bailey, right? And I listened to her on my little Sirius XM radio or whatever, satellite radio, and listen to her station sometimes, right? If they have it on it. So, but damn, boy, that woman fine. But not even her being fine. Look at me talking about these African. There's a TVC news reporter. Talk about fine. What her name is? I think her name is Olimide. Dang. Got that girl name. I think her name is Olimide with TVC. Got that long jet black hair like Brooke Bailey. God, sometimes this must be my type. But I have a type, but that's like my ideal type possibly, because I'm like, that woman with that long, real hair and that beautiful melanated skin, I just, but the music artists out of Nigeria, I like Omale, I like Tim's, what's thing? I like their song Free Mind. That's a beautiful song. What I've been listening to lately is Burning, but most of Omale, that gentleman has some. Omale is the truth. He got some nice hits. So I like Aya Star. I like her little fire in her, right? So I like her, and I like everybody's favorite, possibly coming out of Nigeria and also British, Sade Adu. Like my favorite is probably like Sweetest Taboo. I remember one night I was in Italy and I was there with my lady, and we was at a rooftop and that music was playing, so it was beautiful. So we had a wonderful time. And I always think about that moment. We was in Rome. It was so beautiful. Probably, and it wasn't that much people out there. The music was nice. It was a good vibe. The Sweetest Taboo is my favorite, but lately I found myself listening to You Think I'll Leave You Slide, Baby? You know me better than that. Think I'll leave you down when you're down on your knees. I wouldn't do that. How's the next line go? I'll say you're right when you're wrong. When I'll say you're right when you want. Ah. That's how it goes. Think I'll leave you sad, baby. You know me better than that. Think I'll leave you down when you're down on your knees. I wouldn't do that. What's that? I'll make you what? How did that thing go? Oh, anyways. Ha, 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 ha. But that's my thing. That's my little therapy thing for this week. Is like all week long while I was trying to come up with this this nice topic and thinking about things. Like I was listening to nature sounds all last week, but this week I wanted to like relax and meditate, and I was caught myself listening to Sade like all week long. So it was so peaceful and relaxing. Yeah. Yeah, this has been a little bit long. I didn't expect for it to be long, but whatever. Yeah, I think it was. Hopefully, there's a lot of value in this or insight. I appreciate those that are continuing to watch my videos. Thank you to the new subscribers. Hopefully, you're watching the videos and not just being a subscriber. So yeah. And so let me mention that if anyone has any topics that they would like for me to discuss, or if you maybe want to collaborate and do a video, we could try to do that. Let me put my email for this thing. So this is much easier. So my email is at the bottom of the screen. So if anyone wants to want me to discuss a particular topic, it could be intimate relationships. It could be something like I discussed today about Africa, and because I still look at that as interpersonal relationships, and that's the thing of talking about, not just talking about intimacy, but talking about relationship in general. So yeah, so if anyone wants to reach out to me and talk about that has any topic they would like for me to discuss or collaborate or something, just email me at what you see on the screen to make it easier, simple. So thank you all again. Shukran jazilan. Masalama. I am hungry again.